Hi and welcome to this week's video. In this video I get the seat base sorted out and managed to do a little bit of hanger flying, get the lumbar support partially completed and the trim system finished off so you can see how that works for the future. So let's get cracking. So here's the seat base. It's had, I don't know if you can sort of see it. I've used a foam gloss roller, like that, to apply it. It's got a little bit of texture to it. It's not, but then again, it's a seat. I'm not after a high gloss, considering I'm using a undercoat, hard wearing. It's meant to be very good. It's sort of Johnson's. Meant to be extremely hard wearing. So. That's what I use for the floorboards as well. So I drilled the holes here and countersunk them, and then of course I use those holes to produce the holes here, and they've got the little brass threaded inserts which have been resined into position there. So there's a seat in place at the moment, bolted down. Progression going forward for the sort of seating arrangements at the back here. See if I can get a better view. At the rear sort of face here, there will be a hole cut in the bulkhead here to give access through to the reversing lever for inspections and things like that. And I'll be making up a lumbar support to go up here, which will cover that hole up and just give me a little bit more support. That's just for my ideas. It's about inch to inch and a half deep there, about that height, curved, so it sort of goes down to here, up to there. I'm going to be at some stage in the not too distant future sitting in that, making airplane noises just to work out where the trim is going to go on the inner face here somewhere. But I want to work out where the throttle is going to go as well, so we'll get those two ironed out. Okay, so here I am in the cockpit. Joystick nice and there. Throttle needs to be, I think, up here. Make life nice and easy. Somewhere about maybe there. Yeah, that would be good. About there. So throttle about there. Trim could be just a bit below. So yeah, we have the throttle on this box section. It'll be nice and easy to be able to mount it. I'm looking at somewhere about, it'll be fairly easy to access, so it's going to be about here for the trim. Now let me just put some marks on and see what we can do. Okay, so I want to make an eye end in this stuff, so it's something that looks about that size. And this is Dyneema, so I've got this. I've already started to push it to make it get a little bit fatter. When you push on it, it sort of expands a little bit. Now this particular Dyneema is very tightly woven, so it's going to be really quite hard work getting it sorted out, but we'll see how we get on. So I'm just threading a piece of locking wire up through here. Now this needs to be about 100 millimeters long, going in, as the basic idea is it's approximately 30 times the thickness of the dyneema itself when it's in its normal state. So this is 3mm, so we'll see how we get on. Quite hard getting this to thread. I said it's quite tight weave, this particular dyneema, so I'm just trying to get it threaded onto my my piece of wire, and it's going to be even harder to get the end to go where I want it to go, so we'll see how we get on. So there we go, I've got it coming out the side. That's threaded for more than the length that's going to go down. There's a bit of a reason for that. It allows me to milk this little lot down and into here. So now I'm going to put this end through here. And then because this, well, I've cut this by using the end off by using a hot blade, so I need to fray this up. Well, I need to get this to be tapered, otherwise we're never going to get it in. So a pair of surgical scissors. Get that to fray back on itself a little bit. Squeeze that in, and then before I even try to get this to go, because I know it's going to be a real issue, I'm just going to try to get the dyneema itself to swell a little bit, so we've got something to get the end into. I'll try and pull. That down to it's almost there. Now we can hope we can get that started. Right, so after a bit of tugging, I've managed to pull it through. That's the size of loop I want on the end there. So I will trap that with a pair of artery forceps. I'll trap that with a pair of artery forceps, just so it doesn't slip and slide somewhere I don't want it to go. And we'll take that end off there. It pulls through relatively easily now, and we don't want a hard step, so using the surgical scissors I'm just going to trim a bit of a taper on there. Now I can milk that back. That'll just should, I've got this right, disappear inside. There we go, that's just going. Just not quite disappearing in. I just need to put a bit more tension on it, so I'll just stand on the. There we go. So there we have our loop, and that loop there will be, well, pretty much as strong as if we hadn't done anything at all. Okay, I've made up one of these bungee length cord bits, which is what I'm going to be using for the trim system. So I'm just going to show you how I make these things up. I'm using dental floss here. Yeah, it's the thing about dental floss is it's very strong, and it seems to last extremely well. I've used it on several other bits. This is a big chunk of beeswax, so I'm just running this through the beeswax. It just helps things so it doesn't slip and slide quite as much. So I'll just run it through a couple of times. You'll be careful when you're doing this, because this dental floss will cut your hands. So there we have that little bit. So I'll just create a loop. It's not super critical. This end here can be adjusted to make the loop bigger or smaller, but it won't slip out of the make it, the end come off. What I've done here is just a simple overhand knot, and the end of the bungee here has been cut with a hot blade, so it's now relatively stiff. That knot won't run anywhere. So now I'm just going to create a loop, straightforward, simple loop to start off with. I lay my floss alongside, make a loop, and then I'll just do a simple, it says simple, it's relatively simple when you don't let go of the end, so I'll start again. I lay it along, make a loop like that, and go 1, 2, 3, pull on the long bit. That creates effectively 3 half hitches on there. I'll do the same again, so just doing it twice to make sure it's locked up. So 1, 2, 3 times around. Keep it there. Pull on that long length. Don't get finger trapped. So there we have our bit. There's a original sort of free end. I'll keep that running along the side. Now we're just going to start off by doing a simple figure of 8 around the bungee bit there. So there's 3 figure of 8s going around it, 3 complete turns, then we go back into 3 figure of 8s. We've got a 3 figure of 8. Just trap it with my finger, and there we go, and we do our 3 times round whip. Pull. Suck it up a little bit. Alright, 3 times round whip, finish again. Anybody that's done fly tying would know, or rod building would know that sort of finish. So there we have our sort of finished whip, but it's not finished by any stretch. So what I'll do now is I'll just work all of that lot down to the knot like that, and then I can drag that through to get the size of loop I want. Just make sure everything is cinched nice and tight. Trim off the ends. As far as fly tying at this moment in time, I'd varnish that to seal it on my my fishing line, or if I was doing it for a rod. But there we have that'll work reliably for a long period of time like that. I've made these up before, and they've with the little hooks on the ends to make up micro bungees for holding things together, and they've lasted for years. So there we go, and that will now work with our looped cord that we created earlier. So okay, so here's the block bonded onto the upright there. You can sort of see I've got a ply face, and there's a couple of marks there which where I just put a sort of dimple into the plywood to show where the screws are going to go. Having created this little beastie here, so you sort of see I've got slots there and holes there just for the my cords to go through. This just needs to be cleaned up and primed now, and I'm going to just drill through, well, not through, but drill into the wood there and put in the brass thread inserts, bond those in for the screws to go into. Right, so got the lower bungee in position, but I'll just show you with this one. So it will thread the loop over the loop on the dynamomer, thread the end through, and we'll get that little bit sort of there. And I want to close this off a little bit. I don't want that bungee loop to be quite so big, otherwise it'll think. So there we go, that's nice little loop there. And then this one here, we'll just go over that, stretch that, make sure it's good. So that's it attached to the reversing lever, and then that will go through the pulley system. It then goes through this bit here. Okay, so here's the little bracket section which I made up. So if I take the control line section that's going for the up trim, we'll pull this until the trim is at its maximum on the pulley, and that is where I want the first knot to go, with just a little bit of relief. So I'm just going to go through, straightforward little overhand knot like that. Make sure that's where I want it. That's good. A little bit of clearance there. So I'm now just going to go and do the same knot again, little overhand knot at about 1 inch intervals. Move the down a little bit to stick it down. I'll carry on going until I've got the we'll go about there with the knots. We'll get the bungee, can be fully relaxed in the aircraft when I'm not flying. No, just fully. So we're going to pull. So that's good to there. So it's going to go through, and then just put a little knob on the end. I'm just going to do a straightforward figure of 8 knot there, and then I'll probably just put a little bit of epoxy into the end of it, just to make sure that it doesn't sort of flop around. So there we have it. I've filled the end with some epoxy resin, some just straightforward 5mm epoxy resin. So now we can just operate our trim nice and easily. and that just puts a little bit of a preload on the stick in whichever direction we go. So now you can sort of see as I operate the control column. Yeah, you know, that one's slack. It's not doing any harm anywhere. So at the moment I've got down trim set up in the system. If I release that, I can now pull in the up trim, and I can keep on going until I get to there. That's the maximum amount of trim I'm setting into the system. Yeah, and it's lightweight and reliable. That's the important thing. It's got the two main factors that we're after with our aircraft setup. It's light and reliable. So I've started sorting out the lumbar support. I've got some 1.25 inch, 1.25 inch, sorry, by 1/4 inch wood, which I've cut to a curve. I've put 1/4 inch pieces on the inside of the outer pieces, 1/8 on either side of the centre one, just to beef it up, and they've been drilled with a 3mm hole, because it's going to be 3mm set screws going through, or machine screws going through. And at the moment I've got a line just drawn across here about 2 inches up. This will be reduced down to about, from the end of here down to about 1.5 inches. The idea is that the ply will be curved around this, but that'll, because this is stopping short, quite a depth there, it'll allow the ply to sort of spring back at, well, be curled back out on the flat surface with a tight edge against the bulkhead. This is 1.5mm aircraft birch ply, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to clamp and bond. Well, there we have it being bonded up, the 3 rails. I've got this piece going across here just to put pressure on, so it's squashing the centre up against the frames, and then just clamped at the ends there. Nothing particularly spectacular. Well, that's the end of this week's video. Well, managed to sit in the aircraft to work out where the trim goes. We've got the trim system completed, the seat base finished, and the lumbar support probably about a third of the way through. So I hope you all remain well, have a lovely Christmas, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.